We're looking at Mark 16:9 through 20. And if you haven't read it, stop. And if you have a Bible that doesn't have it, it might be in the notes section of your Bible, or you may have to get a different Bible. It depends on the version. Many versions no longer have those verses. So Mark 9:16 through 20. Come back when you finish reading it. Well, you probably got a hint right off the bat that, hey, these verses aren't considered to be a part of the Bible much anymore. And depending on the age of your Bible and the particular version of your Bible, that very well may be the case, that your Bible and the translator said, listen, this doesn't really belong here. Because in a very real sense, the earliest manuscripts, and it's not just one or two early manuscripts, the majority of the early manuscripts, as they look at the older stuff, and when King James was written, they had, this amount of manuscripts to choose from, and now they have this much. They keep finding more, and etc. The old ones don't have the last part of Mark. It's just not there, and so they presume, and probably rightly so, that everything from Mark 16:9 to the end has been added somewhere down the line, and certainly not by Mark, or, if you will, from the viewpoint of Peter. Having said that, the vast majority of this passage is found in other places, in the other Gospels, and so there's not a lot of controversy on most of what is written here. The whole believe and be baptized, and if you don't believe, then you're condemned, and so on. That's found in Mark, and they appeared to the 11, and it says he chastised them for not believing. The people, the eyewitnesses who had seen him. So, there's a lot of things in here that are repeated. But then there's this little section about things like picking up and playing with snakes, drinking poison, speaking in tongues, and whatnot, that are generally not found in any of the other Gospels. There are certainly references in some ways to all the rest. Paul didn't handle a snake intentionally, but he got bit by a snake in the book of Acts, and he walked it off, if you will. Nothing about poison that I'm aware of in the scriptures, but hey, here's the deal: is this was added later on, and it was added from eyewitnesses, if you will, or people who were living the faith and had seen things happen, seen miracles, so to speak, and they added the little piece that said, hey, this is normal, this is what happens to believers. Anyway, it makes for good conversation in your group. You could talk about, what about what's in, what's out, and who decides what's in and out in the scriptures. Is it just because it's in an older version, does that mean that it's there for always? Good conversation opportunities also to talk about the canon of the Bible, which is officially closed. The canon of the Bible is the list of books that are in, and if you will, there's not so much a list of who's out, but there's other books that were considered to be scriptural at one time, or part of the Bible, or at least considered to be candidates for that got left out. So is the canon closed, and who decides? So you ought to have lots and lots to talk about in this session. I don't know that there's any right or wrong answers, but they're going to be interesting conversation pieces. And I'll see you next week. We're starting in the book of Acts next week, so get ready. You may want to read through the first chapter. We won't cover the first chapter, but we'll cover some of it. So we'll see you next week.